Good day, it is October 28th, just 7 days before the 2024 presidential elections, and the whole world awaits. I'm Buban, welcome to the polls.
I'm Shaheen, sitting for Sam Buban, will be joining us later in the interview segment. Welcome to this week's edition.
As early voting is happening in many parts of the country that provides for early voting in their state, Georgia has broken their own record in early voting from the last election. The election for the 47th President of the United States is underway in a dozen of states around the country. In Georgia, already more than 1.4 million ballots have been casted. According to the Georgia Public Broadcasting, of that number, 55% were women voters. It really shows that women's rights is a big thing in the 2024 campaign and that most favor Kamala Harris. The same big early turnout is happening in North Carolina, who haven't seen this bigger turnout, much bigger in numbers than in 2020 or 2022.
Nevada is one of those states who has early voting in the state election laws, and already more than 402,000 ballots have been received in mail-in and in-person early voting. And in Arizona, more than 833,000 ballots were already been received in both in mail-in and early voting. Both Nevada and Arizona were won by Biden in 2020 election. Reports of voting machine in Georgia that changed a voter's vote for Trump to Harris and told by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has been debunked by Georgia election officials, that it was an error committed by the voter instead, and voter was given a second chance to vote by election officials at the voting precinct. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene carefully walked back on her early comment. The voting machine company has recently won a settlement from an online media for spreading false news and conspiracy theory about their voting machine.
In our series Road to 270, Explainer, it remains that there are still 7 states that are up for grabs by Kamala Harris or Donald Trump: Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin.
And the combined 7 states holds a total of 92 electoral votes to make any of the 2 candidates reach 270. Of the 535 electoral votes spread out to the 50 states, allocated depending on the census population of the state, 270 is the required number of electoral votes to win the presidency. But where do things stand right now, 7 days before the election?
Kamala Harris is at this moment is predicted to carry 226 electoral votes, and Donald Trump is 219. If Kamala Harris wins Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, she will reach 270 electoral votes. 271 if you add 1 electoral vote from Nebraska's Democratic District in Omaha, one of the 2 states that has this unique setup. The other is in the state of Maine, that has 1 heavy Republican district.
We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
For 30 years, Sharifa Wahab has called Las Vegas, Nevada home, a healthcare worker, loving mother, and a passionate philanthropist. Now, Sharifa is running for State Assembly in District 35, committed to improving elderly healthcare funding, and advocate for a better education, and will work to bring in more Filipino teachers to our classroom and ensuring the safety of every Nevadan. Vote Sharifa Wahab for Assembly District 35. Sharifa Wahab for Better Nevada.
Pure Medical Equipment provides top-notch quality medical supply equipment. Whether to rent or buy, Pure Medical Equipment and Supplies has it all.
Pure Medical Equipment is committed to serve and give back to Southern Nevada.
We deliver medical supplies and rentals to your door.
I want to tell you about my mom, Hanati Nadim, and why she'll be a great assemblywoman. Mom is happiest serving others. It's one of the things I admire most about her. She'll work all day in our family's business and still be there for my siblings and me. She has this amazing ability to bring people together and find solutions to hard problems. A vote for my mom, Hanati Nadim, is a vote for an assemblywoman who cares about people and who will never stop working for you.
Welcome back to the polls. With us here today is Commissioner Michael Naft, Clark County Commissioner for District A. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me and for covering important local issues.
Thank you. Before we dive into the questions, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, my name is Michael Naft. I'm your Clark County Commissioner for District A. That's everything from Spring Valley and Enterprise to West Henderson, Laughlin, Searchlight, Cal Navari to Prim. So it's a wide area. You think about the 15 in Flamingo and the 215 in Flamingo and Searchlight, Nevada, and some of the differences in those areas. But for the last 6 years, I've had the honor of serving as Clark County Commissioner, and I'm running for re-election because I think while we've made some extraordinary progress, there's work yet to be done. Things like ensuring we can do more for traffic safety in this community, things like making sure that we're keeping up with the growth and the expansion in this valley that we've seen so dramatically are just some of my priorities.
So what are some of the challenges that Clark County has been facing over the last few years, in spite of how it's growing rapidly?
That's a great question. Thank you. Clark County, we are in so many ways fortunate that we are having some really phenomenal economic growth here in this community, that our population continues to increase because people want to be here. This is an exciting place to be. We still have a relatively low cost of living, though it's getting more and more expensive all the time. But we want to make sure that in Clark County we're keeping up with that growth. Something that I'm really proud of is one of the areas I represent, Enterprise. The unincorporated township of Enterprise has been ranked by Forbes magazine as one of the best places to live and raise a family in the whole United States. Meanwhile, they've experienced tremendous amounts of growth in that area. So the fact that we've been able to grow while at the same time fighting hard to make sure that our public safety is keeping up, our police and our fire, fighting to make sure that we have some of the best parks and recreation facilities in the community. These are challenges that will persist, but ones that I'm excited and anxious to work on.
Wow, that's great. So if re-elected, what are still in some of your bucket lists and priorities and policies that you still need to address?
Yeah. Well, I'm really proud of some of the successes we've had when it's come to my work on traffic safety issues. It's been a huge priority of mine to make sure that we do more to reduce the number of serious crashes, injury crashes, and fatalities that we're experiencing on our roadways in Clark County. And while the numbers are still incredibly tragic, we have some silver linings, some success stories. I was really the first in the United States to bring crossing guards to middle schools. And that was after following data that showed more kids were getting hit in front of middle schools than anywhere else. Since we have implemented middle schools in crossing guards, the number of children hit in crossing guards in front of middle schools has been cut in half. Meanwhile, other jurisdictions, City of Las Vegas, in that jurisdiction, the number has gone up 2 times. So there's been some success there, but we still have work to do in that area. I want to make sure that we're continuing to design and engineer better roads. The construction is not omnipresent, that when there's no work happening, we're getting out of the public roadway so people can move on safely, making sure that our traffic bureau at Metro is adequately funded. These are things that I'm going to continue to fight for. And then I'm also going to, as I said, continue to fight for access to park facilities in our community. Clark County Parks and Recreation does a fabulous job. I was proud that I got to open the first community center in Enterprise, first community center that Clark County's opened in over a decade, the Silverado Ranch Community Center at Silverado and Gillespie. That is a wonderful place that is thriving. We need more places like that for the entire community to enjoy.
Nice. So we are almost out of time. What would you like to say to voters out there? This is your pitch.
Well, I just am incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I've had to serve this community that I grew up in and that I love. One of the things that I prioritize, and I think people know about me, is that I prioritize accessibility over anything. I see myself as the customer service agent for the county, and when anybody, no matter who they are, whether you live in or do business in District A, whether you have a thought, idea, a complaint, or a question about things that are within the county's purview, I encourage people to call me on my cell phone, 702-769-9225. Let me better understand the issue and work towards a resolution.
Thank you. Commissioner Naft, running for re-election of Clark County Commission, District A. Thank you. When we come back, we will be joined by Assemblyman Yui Wen. Please stick around.
For 30 years, Sharifa Wahab has called Las Vegas, Nevada home, a healthcare worker, loving mother, and a passionate philanthropist. Now, Sharifa is running for State Assembly in District 35, committed to improving elderly healthcare funding and advocate for a better education, and will work to bring in more Filipino teachers to our classroom and ensuring the safety of every Nevadan. Vote Sharifa Wahab for Assembly District 35. Sharifa Wahab for Better Nevada.
I want to tell you about my mom, Hanati Nadim, and why she'll be a great assemblywoman. Mom is happiest serving others. It's one of the things I admire most about her. She'll work all day in our family's business and still be there for my siblings and me. She has this amazing ability to bring people together and find solutions to hard problems. A vote for my mom, Hanati Nadim, is a vote for an assemblywoman who cares about people and who will never stop working for you.
Welcome back to the polls. With us now is Assemblyman Yui Wen. Yui, welcome to the polls.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, good to have you here with us, Assemblyman.
So give us some landmark of where in Las Vegas is District 8.
District 8 is in the southwest Las Vegas. It's mostly 80% of Enterprise, a little bit of Spring Valley in my district. So the northern boundary is the 215. Going to the west side will be Durango, and then east side will be the 15, going all the way down to Cactus for the eastern part, and then going down to Blue Diamond on the west side. So it's a very fast-growing district and the largest Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander residents in the state of Nevada.
Interesting, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of new voters out there, please tell our viewers a bit about yourself before we dive into the questions.
Well, great. Thank you. Again, my name is Yui Nguyen, and I'm very honored to serve currently as your assemblyman for District 8. And I am a resident in here now of Nevada and Las Vegas for 20 years. And I actually immigrated to the United States when I was 11. And my father was one of the boat people in the early 80s that left Vietnam for the search of freedom and opportunity. And I didn't know my dad growing up. I reunited with him here in the United States at the age of 11, and was really taught to do two things: study hard and don't make waves.
You are a freshman assembly member. What were some of the bills you have introduced in the state assembly where you were the sponsor, and what were those about?
Thank you for that. As you may know, the Nevada legislative session meets every other year, so we have 120 days to go through thousands of
you can name three
legislatures. Yes, it's going to be a very good process for anyone just learning how we make the laws, and I've been educating our community every time I get a chance to talk about how legislature works. So we're up here for 120 days, and we get to learn about all the issues that's facing Nevadans up and down our state. So in my first session in 2023, I was able to successfully, sponsor and co-sponsor 8 different legislation, and three that I think stood out the most are first, I'm very proud of the financial literacy bill, which is Assembly Bill 274. And that bill was to require high school students before they graduate to have taken a course in financial literacy. And for us as a immigrant generation, a lot of things were not really taught for us. If you have parents who are working, many jobs, or just like us working 7 days, you don't have the opportunity to teach your children in terms of how to manage their financial life. So the bill that I sponsor and pass and then signed into law by the governor was to truly make sure that we have the basic for our high school students, so that when they are graduating high school and become an adult, they have the tools necessary to manage their financial life. So whether you are 5 or 95, you are managing money and you learning how to use those tools so that you can become successful in life. I think that is something that everyone, all of us, doesn't matter what economic background, what party, you can use your financial literacy so that you can be better. Another bill that I was very proud of is to align all of our workforce development boards in the states. We have 17 counties and essentially 17 different boards to work on economic opportunities and bringing new industry or training into our state and be prepared for those industry itself. Well, before my legislation, those boards were not talking to each other. So everybody exists, but kind of not collaborating. So we streamlined that process and make sure that everyone kind of come together and ensure that we create a pathway for better collaboration so that we can move together forward as a state and not, making sure that we're not just doing things on silos. So those are critical for our economic development to be able to do the right things. Another bill that was very helpful too is making sure that we understand that our young people is going through the stage of learning, right, outside of financial literacy. They all want to learn skill set that is helpful for them if they want to go and pursue those skill set after they graduate. So we did a program called work-based learning. So if you are a high school student and you want to go into, let's say you want to become a pastry chef, or you want to become an
aircraft mechanic.
Yes. Those things now, if you're under 18, when you go to a lot of employers, especially the small businesses, there are some liability insurance involved, and they're not able to accomplish that by participate into those kind of skill sets. So the legislation that was passed was able to get the students liability insurance cover so that they can still learn the trade while they're there, and the cost is not passed on to the parents.
I'm gonna ask you about Assembly Bill 318. Assembly Bill 318 is revising provisions governing certain healthcare providers. What was this bill about?
Well, a lot of things that we get to do in the legislature sometimes is really like big and changing things. Some of these legislation that we also do, it's also cleaning up of certain things. So we have different agencies that come to us. So this particular bill, AB 318, was working with the Board of Medical Examiner, which license all of our medical doctors and some physician assistant, things like that. And I think the board came to me with an ask to be able to help streamline the renewal process. So what we were looking at is part of the bill is every year when the doctor license is renewed, there is currently only a mail process, right? What we did was we now extending that window of renewal so that they can have more time to react to those notifications,
I could
as
imagine.
well as modernize it a little bit and add an email component. Because all of us
okay.
uses email now on a
Yes.
daily basis, right? Some of us have more than one email account, but sometimes we don't check our mail, fast
Yes.
enough, right? So the regular postal mail get kind of buried with so many things. So adding the email would also help us to communicate to that doctor that, hey, your license is about to be expiring. You need to go through these steps to get it renewed, so that we keep our healthcare providers and our doctors, compliance, so that they can
Yes.
serve our public and they can take care of the people, which is the primary responsibility for them. It's
Yes.
not being, inundated with paperwork that doesn't give them that flexibility.
Correct. I agree with that. Different way of telling them, need to renew your license soon.
Exactly. We want to make it
Yeah.
easy for professionals to do business in our state. And that's what we are about. Nevada is that we have a lot of room to grow and we're fast growing. So we want to make it accessible and easy for people to do business here.
Assemblyman, we are close to the end of our segment. What would you like to tell your voters out there? This is your pitch.
Oh, well, I am very honored to be here. So thank you.
It's my pleasure.
The Filipino American community is the largest AA to HPI community here in Nevada. So it's a very important segment of our state. So I would definitely encourage all of you go out to vote. And if you do live in my district, please vote to re-elect me as your assemblyman for District 8. A lot of the candidates out there talk about what they will do versus what is already happening, and that is something that I'm different from everyone else. I've been in our community for 20 years, and my background has been with the corporate industry, the small business, the nonprofit, as well as community engagement. And in my role as the assemblyman, I get to continue that work and bring it to a bigger level. So those are much more of a experienced person than someone who's is saying that they will do many things once they're elected. I believe that a representative of our community should be doing things whether the camera is on them or not, or whether they're on the ballot or not. Those are very consistent characteristic that we look into our leaders, and I have had a good success in the first term in terms of making sure we do common sense legislation, regardless of whether we are one party or another. We're here for Nevadans, and that should be our priorities. We have a lot of negative rhetoric throughout this election cycle, and that should not be what it's about. We have more in common than we are in difference. So we need to collaborate. We need to have people in public office that can truly represent our community and bring people together and not divide them. So I truly appreciate shows like The Polls, as well as the Buban family here of your public service, and you're doing the work that along with me to be able to move our community forward. We need more representation at the table, and I'm proud to be the first immigrant from the Asian community to be elected to the Nevada legislature, and it's such an honor to get to do this work every day as a parent, as a spouse, as a business owner, as a community members. I wear a lot of hats, but this is my passion, is to be able to make a difference. And I look forward to continue to make that difference. So please reach out to my campaign or my office, and we'll be happy to have that conversation, because it takes all of us, not just me, but take all of us to move our state forward. And I look forward to have that opportunity once again. So go out and vote. We are very, very lucky to be in a state where we can vote by mail or we can vote in person. So go ahead and make those decisions, and I hope to get your support. So Yui Nguyen for re-election to Nevada Assembly A. Thank you so much.
We will leave it at that. Assemblyman Yue Wen, running for re-election in Assembly District 8, Las Vegas. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching The Pulse. I'm Sam Buban. Please join us again next week.
And I'm Joe Buban. God bless your week.
Enjoy Film TV Network on KGNG 26.8 Las Vegas and www.filmtv.us. Search for and download Film TV Network in Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and YouTube. Download the WCE TV app from smartphones and search for Film TV.